Hello everyone, and welcome back to another live stream here on the twitch.tv/the Xisuma. Boy oh boy, has it been a different day than I thought it would be. And I'm a little late to streaming because of the events of the day. Oh. But here we are. And I'm so very unprepared because I've had no time to prepare. Conboy, thank you ever so much for 70 months of support. Greatly appreciated. Evil X in the chat right there. Thank you so much. When is Hermitcraft Season 10 gonna start, says Astio. Oh, it's gonna start after Season 9 finishes. Keep that to yourself though, that's a secret. Just, you know, between you and me, basically. Yeah, I've had one heck of a day. I'll talk about it later. I mean, it was weird. With what happened yesterday, and then the way I felt when I woke up, it just felt like it was just going to be a tough day, and then it all changed. I got bit by a dog, which has not happened to me before. I mean, usually you hear about something like that when like it's a child, because it's like really traumatizing. For me, it wasn't traumatizing. I still love doggos. But I might be a little bit more cautious now when they come towards me, that's for sure. Because I was walking and I got nipped. It was just like, bam! Oh, little bite! Oh, God! Yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit more detail later on. I've been bit before, not fun, says Ezra Manning. Yeah, there's nothing fun about it for sure. I guess as an adult, it wasn't like, you know, traumatizing like it might have been for a child. When a child gets bit by a dog, it usually like turns them off for life, right? First computer stone, then redstone, says enjoy time now. What's computer stone? Right, we're gonna go work on the copper aging facility. If you didn't see my latest episode of Hermitcraft, it is essential watching because I just had to put together this awesome idea and it was successful. And we get to go and continue working on it. I'm not really sure if I need to grab anything. I kind of remember leaving a bunch of supplies. Wait, where am I going? I remember leaving a bunch of supplies for this project. So everything we should need is down there. Ezra says, I thought mine was a little nip too and looked down and blood was pouring out everywhere. Yeah, I had a similar experience. I wouldn't say blood was pouring out everywhere. But, hey look, yeah, okay, so... Oh, by the way, I wanted to message Pix, and I've just had such a roller coaster day, I completely forgot. Maybe it's worth just shooting him a message and seeing if he's online quickly. He looks like he's offline. Yeah, I'm not going to message him, he probably is offline. Some people leave Discord in like offline mode, and I don't think Pixel is one of those people. So if he's offline, he probably is offline. X, out of curiosity, have you used Linux, and if so, how much? I have used Linux, and not a lot. Anyway, Rusty Stone, thank you ever so much for 7 months. Loving the new album, glad you are. If you like new album, what's this person talking about? That's right, oh, press the wrong button. Soulside Eclipse, you know, hey, go to linktree.xisumavoid.co, go to the music section, there'll be a link to the album and stuff on that page. I'll make it easier for you, just one website, linktree.xisumavoid.co. Go on there, click on the album. Bam. Rusty Stone 1, thank you ever so much. Oh, that was the one, wasn't it? Thank you. And Stefan RBK was the other one. 42 months, did I miss the Mumbo prank already? You did. And the Mumbo prank, like, it really disappointed everyone today. You know? So much so, I don't think I can fathom describing what we attempted this time. And you'll probably find that chat doesn't want to talk about it either, so. Interesting! Now, that could be a rare occurrence in which the aging thing double fires, or yeah, it might be a case of low honey. Nope, honeycomb. Got to remember to say that. Let's check this. 2 and 119. 119 and 2. Yeah, not sure what happened there. We need to... If your chat is super cool and don't tell anyone, I need some help. Is that for me or Impulse? Okay. Right, so this is hopefully just a one-off of rarity that you've seen here. Oh, and this one isn't actually finished yet. So we're waiting on that one. Actually, only that one. So it'll probably be done during the stream. Okay, so the copper aging facility has undergone an upgrade in which not only does it do the full amount, it does the first two as well, but honeycombs like that. Yeah, look at that. That got the honeycomb effect on it. Interesting. I've only been bitten by a kid and my cats, says a Stellian. Yeah, as someone said in the chat in the pre-stream, like getting bitten by an animal, the animal has all sorts of like different types of bacteria in their mouth and stuff, right? Oh, I just noticed that this is not muted. So that can be a little bit more harmful. Right, and then somewhere here, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. I don't think I've actually got all the things that I need to do what we need to do today. But we'll start off with some grindy stuff. And then maybe just have a chat. Because I need to go around and replace all of these with something different. I've had a few suggestions since pointing out I could do this a variety of different ways. But I actually really like that way. I like having the little redstone dust here, so I'm pretty good with this setup. I'm just having a look at chat. I'm now remembering that image of Xisuma in a paper shredder that I edited audio over. Oh, that sounds interesting. I've been attacked by dogs as a kid and learned that you can almost always scare off an aggressive dog by charging it and being loud. Sometimes it makes me look silly, but it's better than being bitten. Yeah, I've heard that sort of thing echoed about animals over the years. It's like if you're gonna encounter them and have a situation like be bigger, be louder, be aggressive. It's not applicable to every situation. Like I remember, there's different types of bears. Like if you're in the forest and you know you're in a forest that has bears. We don't have bears really here in the UK. Yeah, there's different ways to treat that situation. But sometimes the advice is be as big and scary and loud as you can be. You know, that's your best hope. Cybot, welcome to the chat, my dude. So I guess I got to tell a story now. I'll give you the long-winded one, just because I had a moody start to the day. So yesterday I had to there was a situation where sometimes you have to like sort of be not the bringer of bad news, but like you have to be the person to tell people something they don't want to hear that's for their own good or something like that, right? And it really wore me out. I didn't realize it and like at the time, but it just, well, I kind of did. It really got to me. I don't like being in that sort of situation at all, and I've had to do a lot of it in the past. And yeah, having to do it again was just not really that pleasant. And I think it affected me more than I realized, because I had these dreams that just had very strong emotional currents to them that were like difficult and challenging. And what I always say about dreams and such, for me, how I experiencing them, is that there's often like a lot of strong emotional resonance that just gets sort of thrown in amongst a bunch of random stuff. But every now and then it just feels so more cohesive than that. And I had this weird cohesive like dream that sort of like put all the people you love against you, and the emotional currents just, I don't know, made you feel small and worthless or something like that, right? And you wake up and you're like, yeah, it's all a dream though. But it's like, why do all these thoughts and emotions get arranged? You know, people and memories, sometimes they just get arranged in ways that bother you, right? So I woke up in a bad mood, and I've been thinking, well, maybe I'm owed this, because I am I don't know if I would be diagnosed as having a chemical imbalance or whatever, but like, I have predictable ups and downs that just seem to affect everything unilaterally. It's like all of my passions and interests, they all just kind of fade at the same time. And then they come back up at the same time. It's like when I'm in a good mood, I'm busting to do anything, you know? Play Minecraft, write music, do a live stream, make a video. You know, I enjoy all the things I enjoy. And then when you hit that mood dip, like, they all go down together. Velicor says, like burnout. Now, we're not talking about burnout. This is like a mood swing. Right? Like, burnout's more of a term for like a thing that happens over a long period of time. So it wasn't like that. It was just like a mood swing, and I just felt like the events sort of triggered it. Like I was due one because I had like a couple of weeks that just have been really awesome, like releasing the album, playing a bunch of Diablo, just really just like letting go of a lot of stuff and just sort of enjoying the moment. And yeah, so it felt like it was kind of due. So what I do when this happens is, of course, work out. Work out is always the answer. Problem was, here I am on my morning walk, you know, like go out for a walk, get your body warmed up, ready to come back and hit the gym. And I'm not far from home, I'm walking along and a dog passes, right? And I was kind of in a bit of my own world, right? Because my brain was doing this thing where it just like, it eats itself away. It just keeps going into these negative thought patterns. And so I'm getting kind of annoyed with myself and just like, I just want to get home and start working out and get away from this feeling. Because my brain just keeps meandering into unhelpful thoughts. And then bam, this dog just kind of like, as it comes by to sniff me, which is pretty usual for dogs, right? They always come up and sniff you. You know, they want to say hello. It just nips me in the back of my leg. And I'm like, oh god, what just happened? The owner's like, oh, you know, he bit you? And I'm like, yeah, he bit me. You know, oh, sorry, he's never done that before. And I'm in a bit of shock. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. I mean, the quintessential British thing for me to have done would have been to apologise for being bitten. But I wasn't that panicked. I had little self-control and like awareness, but I was kind of like, I really wasn't sure what to do or say, and I sort of said, well, my sister has a dog that I walk, and I know they're just animals, and they're not normally like this, and then it was like, well, you know, I'll go home and take care of myself. She's like, oh, sorry. And walks off. Hey, look, the machine just finished doing its thing. Cool. And we can verify that this new setup does not stop the flying machine from getting bud-powered. You can actually imagine it. You see, if one of those blocks was powered, it would be diagonal from the piston, and that's what broke it. Wow, I felt like that might have been me because I broke something, but it was probably just that thing arriving back. Was the dog off lead? It wasn't. It was quite tightly leashed. Did you go to the doctor just in case? Yeah, we'll get to all of that. I've been in the hospital and stuff. We got another bunch here. And actually need more redstone for that. We'll go pick up the redstone and crack on. We're going to need a lot of resources today. This thing really eats it up. Like, when I started first working on this project, I was kind of looking at it like, oh, there's only 18 sections a row. But then I'm doing 8 sections. It really kind of like adds up. Neo says, Meow says the music is so menacing and spooky. It's from the Never Dimension. It's the Never Dimension soundtrack. Jacob16, thank you for 4 months. Herminator, thank you for 51. Hope you're okay. I am okay. Thank you for your concern and thank you for your support. That's good. Dog bites are dangerous. Yeah. Yeah, I had this nagging feeling. You know, that you have to go and do something about a dog bite, right? You can't just, it'll be okay. I kind of knew that, so I did look it up as I was walking back. Initially, though, I was just thinking, well, you know, I'll go clean it up and get on with my day. But it was at the back of my mind. It's like, nah, this is going to be worse than that, isn't it? You got to do something about it. So I I made my way home. When I got back, I checked it out. It was bleeding. There was like a big, you know, a tooth had gotten in there, a big piercing. That didn't look good. All puffy around the edges, and then next to it, like a smaller piercing that had puffed up. So, not good, obviously. I cleaned it out with disinfectant, put a plaster on it, ringed up the local GP, got an appointment to see the doctor same day, and then I was like trying to figure out what am I doing with the rest of my day. Okay, I'm gonna go see the doctor. Apparently, I'm gonna get a shot and some antibiotics. So I start planning out my day, and I still feel rough, and I really wanted to work out, but I wasn't sure if I should or not because I've just been bitten. But I decided to anyway. I did like just a portion of my usual workout, and oh my god, it just, my brain comes back on. It's like once I'm like 20 minutes into it, like all those negative thoughts just go away, and I just feel like me again. The me I want to be anyway, you know. So that was great. And then I made myself a massive salad, sat down to eat, and then I get oh no, that's actually not how it played out. I get a call from the doctor. I forgot. Like, after I'd sorted out my appointment to see the doctor, I needed to go do shopping, so I cycled into town, and then I thought I would treat myself to a bubble tea. But both of the places were closed. So I'm like getting exhausted at this point. I'm like, you know, walking everywhere. I've been bitten. I'm cycling back and forth across town. I don't know what's going on with me. And then I go home and work out, and yeah, anyway, so then I'm like, okay, right, time to eat, time to refuel. Having the massive salad. And the doctor rings. And they're like, oh, I don't know why. Oh, actually, no, I do know. Well, anyway, they're like, I don't know why, you know, they haven't told you to go to A&E because you're going to need a shot and we can't do a shot here. So I'm like, right, okay, I've got to go to the hospital then, I guess. And I skipped a bit of the story. Like, after I was being bitten and it was nagging on my mind that there's something more you have to do with it, I did look it up online, and the advice is, yeah, you've got to, you know, go see your GP and get a shot. And so then I was like, that's what I got to do. Okay. That's what I got to do. That blood flow really helps clear the rubbish out of your brain and deliver the oxygen. This is Transit Biker. Are we talking about, like, cycling and walking everywhere? By the way, I'm doing something. It's called staring at redstone. Like, what I want to happen is to sort of have, like, can I wire this redstone so that we can have this line? If one of these gets activated, it sort of does a secondary line. I mean, it's pretty simple to do. There's this other element here with using this cart and loading it up, which is that it's always going to put way too much into here. So I'm not sure if there's a way I can just send out a signal a little less than you might expect. Also, this thing is like going to blink a lot, so you're probably going to need to do something with a piston and a repeater on 4 ticks. Actually, you're really not, because once the pulse gets up here, it doesn't really matter, it's off. So it's just really about, like, what's the smartest way to have another line of redstone come across is essentially the problem. Velocore says, redstone often makes me feel like throwing myself into the nearest lake. King Cub says they're talking about how you working out makes you feel like yourself again. Yeah, to me, I think it's the endorphins that you get from working out. I just think it's like a way to turn that part of your brain on, and like it's a huge difference for me. If that hasn't turned on of its own accord for whatever reason, you know, sometimes you just wake up feeling a bit rotten. Then I have a way to trigger it, to get it going, so to speak. There isn't a crazy amount of space here. It feels like I'm just going to have to build like a second elevated redstone line and then just have something connect to it. It seems sort of straightforward. I kind of like the idea of using that material again. I'm going to go grab some logs and we'll suss it out. Okay, have you listened to the Imp and Skiers podcast? Yeah, I've listened to quite a few episodes. It's really good. Let's see. Well, I'm probably going to end up using more of that. We came up here to grab these things. As a non-professional person, somewhat skilled at redstone, I will make a majorly overcomplicated machine just to realise I could have just used a hopper minecart, as Neo says meow. Yes, I frequently encounter redstone projects where you do all this like legwork to get to the end, and then somewhere along the way you just realise there's a much simpler flow or way to do this. To me, that's like part of the beauty of redstone. But it's like being able to discover it before is something you got to keep in your mind. Like every step you want to try and like put all the pieces of the picture together or the puzzle, and then discover it before you've put in all those crazy hours, right? Like it can be really satisfying to actually discover one of those. So if I do that, the signal just gets passed upwards to a separate line that doesn't sort of backfeed, so to speak. And this thing actually only needs to be around for these ones, then we don't need any more. So from here, I could actually not strip this block. Like I could leave it like that, just for a bit of fun. Don't know if I'll change it or not. I think it'll probably look nicer if I changed it. And then it goes into the wall and finds its way up, right? So I think we'll do it like this. That should turn it into just one signal, in theory. If not, doesn't really matter. I mean, to make like another point about what you just said, like what I'm doing right now, it might turn out that like, oh, there's actually this other event that's like something else you can also use. And saying that out loud makes me realize, yeah, I can go look at other parts of this contraption and then just see if there are other events that would have been a better pick. So like here, I know that those items go into there because of this line of redstone. It might just happen to be that you could run a comparator off the side of it and create another signal there. But I don't think there's much in it with this one, right? There's not a lot on the line, so to speak. And as for this area here with the loading, like I plan on putting some copper minecarts up here. You put one repeater onto the observer, someone in chat said. Bored Barad. Probably did, yeah. Right, so when any one of those machines returns, it's going to hopefully turn it into a signal that is just one signal strength long. And then that can make its way... Sorry, when I say one signal strength long, I mean like a single pulse. That will then power this. I'm just wondering if what I've got here is fine, because I also want to put these things on it. So it might be like a row of hoppers. Wow, fell in a hole. Fell in a hole, feeling so low. Okay, there we go. Like, very simple. So dang it, to restock, I can sort of come over here, do that. It's breaking them and picking them back up that becomes a little bit of an annoyance, but I guess what I could do is have a handy lever here. Right, and then if I do that, it locks that, so nothing then will go into here. It's a bit on the manual side, but sometimes that just seems to be the way to do stuff. So Jemin, congratulations on passing your exams and going to university. That is awesome. That is so very, very cool. I wish you all the best with whatever it is you're going to study. What's the redstone project? So Sunny Cat, we are upgrading Pixel Riff's copper aging facility. I feel great about this because I was so impressed with what Pixel had done here. And it sort of, to me, it felt like it was almost accessible. So often are these redstone projects these days just those crazy farms made by the brainiacs. Who are awesome, by the way, not putting them down. And like, I miss the days where I did things with redstone that were innovative, right? Those days don't really exist anymore. But like, seeing what Pixel had done here, it felt like one of those things that was kind of in reach. Like, oh, if I, maybe I could have figured out something like this, and this contraption looks awesome. I am stoked that I've been able to contribute to its development with an idea that might be beneficial. You know, the ability to automatically honeycomb them and also choose what stage of aging you want. Now, it might be in the future that there's an even better, more compact way to do this, but for now, I've just got it going, you know? The main thing is just the distribution. You could do it with a network of hoppers, which would be pricey. This seems to just be a pretty reasonable way of doing it, but then you have rails running everywhere, so yeah, perhaps there's something there I had not thought of. You know, maybe you build another flying machine to move one of these back and forth so it's all like hidden away. You don't see it, but it's there. Okay, so now what we're doing is putting in the redstone back here. It connects to the target block at the top, and that goes all the way across. So I can just hide this a little bit, and it just kind of looks pretty regular now. I can go there. Sweet. Right, so when one comes back, this will automatically go out and send some more. It's also going to be full up. Then it will come all the way back. That is a complete module with no problems. So, oh no, I've missed. Look, because we went and got supplies and we forgot to finish this off. Okay, well, while I'm doing this last little bit, we'll talk about the rest of my bitten by a dog story. Although Cybot has a question. Would the aged copper you used for decoration slow down the aging because it is nearby, even if it is waxed? Let's see. I'm not sure if waxed copper influences aging, right? But I think if I understand your question correctly, yes, copper near other copper affects aging. So the question is really about, but what about waxed? I'm going to write that one down. I don't know if I really wanted to talk about this or not. Sometimes, like, things just seem a little clearer in a moment. I'm seeing somewhat of like a sharp decline in interest in Minecraft. Like, I think the Tales and Trails update has not really brought back a lot of people. What Minecraft updates tend to do is bring back people from its large player base. And I don't think a lot of people are looking at this update and thinking, I want to come back for these features, right? And I'm just feeling like there's a bit of a decline on my own channel, on other people's channels. And I'm a little bit torn by this kind of stuff, because on one hand, I want to continue doing what I do because I enjoy it. And I know that there's still many of you out there that enjoy it, right? But on the other hand, there's this whole, like, angle of what's successful and keeping your channel healthy. It's always a balance of those things. But I have kind of felt myself like maybe this is an opportunity to try and make some different content. And that question got me really curious, and it reminded me of myth busting, and it just made me think, oh yeah, myth busting's a thing that you can just do at any time. So maybe that's what I'll do, because I've got some ideas for like Hermitcraft episodes that I want to do, and I've also got some ideas for other types of videos, and you'll probably see content slow down from me as I just kind of want to like re-angle myself a little bit with what I'm doing, and that just gave me like a big reminder that, you know, myth busting is really awesome and really fun. Snallup, whose name I probably butchered, almost definitely butchered. Thank you so much, my dude, for 19 months. We've got another JT here for 72. That's an Evil X if I've ever seen one. Snallup says, Alex, thank you so much for the entertainment. I am stressed out from my job. Excuse me, mouth burp. I come to watch one of your videos or stream uploads and it takes my mind off all these real world problems. Glad I can be of help in some way, my dude. Yeah, life bums you out and sometimes you need something else, right? We could say it's a distraction or just entertainment, but I'd like to think that some of the stuff we talk about here can be a little bit more helpful than just that as well. Yeah, so, like, myth busting. Yeah. I can't answer your question, by the way. Forgot about that. Oh, Lucaro is going to point something out. Well, that might be your answer, my dude. It's a whole other block behind that lever. No, wait, it's not active, is it? Ah, it's not actually active. Let's not even risk it. Let's just put it there. It'll still power up and hit that. Yeah, good point. Good point. Oh, and it was, yeah. I thought like it's on. This will be on, but no, it wasn't. Right, when one of those comes back out, that's going to go off and do its thing. Now, I need to do it all again on the opposite side, and let's see how far I got, because I did already do a lot of this in batch. Kinda knew that was about to happen as I jumped across the honey. I'm like, oh, don't jump off the honey. Doesn't work. Yeah, this is all set up, right? So I got as far as the next bit, which is now you have to go and place all of these blocks. And that includes redstone blocks too, which we know about. We know about their placement. So if I come back to one of my supply boxes... Right, we don't have a lot of that, and we need more of this. I think I might put those in place on the opposite side. I think I don't like that. I don't like that at all. In fact, I feel like I maybe want those blocks to just be stone. I think they need to be their own thing, because they're another circuit. It's kind of hard. Now, I'll strip them. I think they'll actually look like they belong if I strip them too. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So that's actually the first bit I'm going to build on the opposite side. Just because it's a very small, simple thing. Yeah, I like that now. I like that now. That's good. That's good. Small detail, you know, but sometimes I get all meticulous over those kind of details. So, hospital and getting bitten by a dog story. Where did we get to even? God, I've had this just knackering day of like loads of exercise and stuff. Because how am I going to get to the hospital? On my bike. I know I got a car, but it's summer, dang it. I should be on the bike. So yeah, then I had to cycle all the way over to the hospital. Fun little story there. I locked myself into the bike shed, right? So I park up my bike, and I'm noticing that they've added this container wall around the bike area since I was last there, and they put gates on them. They put doors. And as I'm leaving, I'm kind of thinking, oh, how does this work actually? Because am I doing something wrong here? Is this like a staff-only area? Am I going to lock myself out of my bike? So I shut the door as I'm investigating the mechanism, and then I realized that like there isn't an open button on the inside, which is like a bit of a flaw now that I think about it, because the way it locks from the outside, like if someone's in there, they should really be able to just open it from the inside. But maybe then that makes it easy for someone on the outside to get in and open it. I don't know what the reasoning was. So I'm like, oh, I've just locked myself in, right? And luckily there were some people around, and I was like, oh, hi, how does this work? I think I've locked myself in. They thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. And then they were kind enough to help, and someone came over and explained how it worked. You have to go get someone to come and open the gate for you. So yeah, if there weren't people around, I might have been waiting there for a minute, but there were people around, so that was good. I'm out of repeaters. We'll go make some more. So anyway, I got out of there. That was a funny little detail. And you know, then it was just the waiting game. of waiting to get your name called out. You go and see someone, and then it was like about 20 minutes to first be seen. Then it was like close to 2 hours, and I started to think, what if they've forgotten about me and all of this? And at one point I'd gone to the toilet and I started getting a little bit paranoid that maybe they'd called my name out and I'd missed it. And I was about to go, literally about to go the second time, and the lady called me up, you know, and brought me in. And I was sitting there literally paranoid about like going to the toilet and missing your name, and I was just about to go. So got lucky with that one. Oh, am I like out of... Oh, no. Look at this. We got more. Because I am chewing through this stuff over here, aren't I? So yeah, anyway, when I'm seeing this doctor, she's sort of saying like, oh, you won't need a jab because you got one when you were a kid, right? And then she pulls up my age. She sees my age on the screen on the computer, and she has a little panic attack. She's like, oh, I thought you were a teenager. I was like, I was 20 years ago. God. Yeah. Oh, I'll take that compliment. Like, because she's looking, like, if she thinks I look like a teenager, she's thinking, oh yeah, you don't need your jab because, you know, you've had it, right? Like, if you've had it within 10 years, you're fine, that kind of thing. But no, I haven't had one since I was a kid, and that was a very long time ago. So, so yeah, I took that one. Oh, well, that's all right then. I don't mind looking young. Yeah. And then after I saw her, it was like 10 minutes or someone else. Then I went and got my prescription, which took about 20 minutes. But like, you are just at the mercy of waiting, and it's always difficult to be sat and stuck, you know, wondering what's happening, and the rest of your day you don't know when you're going to do the things you're going to need to do, like doing a live stream, right? I really wanted to do this, so I mentioned it in my video. Yeah, so I was just thinking about, like, you got to look on the bright side of life, right? And I was thinking about how amazing hospitals are, and I was like watching all the people working and just starting to think about like how many layers of cooperation there are in society between people that lead to places like that. When you look at all that equipment that they've got, there's just so many layers of like people that work at resource extraction sites, and people who work with machinery to assemble this stuff, and people who make sure there's standards to make it all safe and healthy, and then there's the people that, you know, use the tools to help you, and like everywhere there's just so much human ingenuity and cooperation and togetherness, and like, look at what we've been able to do. It's really incredible. It really is. I was just marveling at it all. Like, when you go to the hospital, I can't help but just like look around and be like, whoa, there's all this cool stuff here. Like, what do these machines do? You know? Yeah, I was just marveling at it. Joe Duggan, the one, the only. Thank you so much for your raid, my dude. Appreciate it. You might recognize this place. I'm making some modifications over here, bringing a whole new dimension to the copper aging facility. Let's see. I think winging it won't make any sense. We probably just need to place in our first few planks. Welcome all the raiders. Therateria says, we live in a society. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Pix's famous build. Oh, yes. Definitely. It's brilliant. I love it. And I've been able to bring a little extra to it now. Got a little expansion pack, let's call it that. Yeah, a way to just do a little bit more of it, which is awesome. Was I digging in the wrong direction then? I was, wow. Well, that's why you double check, I guess. Wasn't even aware I was going in the wrong direction. And we were telling the story of the hospital. I think the story's pretty much over now, right? Like, I got to take antibiotics. The wound's got to heal. I should be good. But yeah, that really just changed the whole course of the day. Fortunately for me, it's at a time where I haven't had like too much on my plate to do. It's just been, I've been in this like weird space where I've just been reveling in the release of the album and not stressing myself out and just enjoying everything. I'm playing a lot of Diablo, which I'm going to play after this stream, I think. For sure. For shizzle! Yes, anyway, if you get bit by a dog, you do need to ring your local GP. You will probably need antibiotics, and if you're old or young, I don't know, you might need a shot. Hey, Carls, thank you for gifting subs to Joel Duggan and Zale Twig. Be sure to say thanks in the chat for the gifted subs. We always appreciate them. And Icepick is here for 24 months, 2 years going strong. We need a dog Xisuma skin now. I mean, you can make it, right? You can make it if you want. Yeah, I had an infection a couple of years ago. I remember it because it was during the pandemic and I had to go to the hospital, which was like, oh, I'm going to the hospital during the pandemic, am I? Had this thought that one of these might need to be a slab, but no. Actually, you do need slabs, and I've just remembered where, and, you know, I successfully jumped into a hole. Yeah, I had to go to the hospital during the pandemic, which is a bit like, you know, oh, because there's a pandemic going on, and you're going to the place where the people that have coronavirus go. But yeah, that was a silly one. I slept on a hot water bowl. So it was winter. I was thinking about that. When was it? And I was like, well, it involved a hot water bowl, so it was probably during winter. And my arm just like must have just laid on the hot bottle making contact, and the skin got all burnt and infected. But I didn't know it had been infected. I just treated it with disinfectant, you know, put a plaster over it, whatever. And then when I went to see the doctor, they like lift my arm up and showed me you can see the infection going through the veins. And I was like, whoa, that's freaky. And then the antibiotics cleared it all up, so that was good. But just a crazy thing. Paraterra says, bruh, what? Yeah, like an infection, right? Like, it'll start somewhere and it will spread. That's what infections do, they spread. And they tend to spread probably through your arteries, or it might depend on the type of infection. Maybe some infections like muscle or whatever, but this one just went through my arteries and you could see it. Like, you could see it under my skin. X, have you ever seen those weird Cambrian animals like Anomalocaris or Opphenia? I might have, but those names don't ring a bell. Foofy says, hello, finally got here, but oh man, I saw the description, bit by a dog. Yep, it happened, I got bit by a dog. But like, I'm okay. I'm in good spirits. Like, all the hard work's over. It only hurt for like an hour as well, like it stung. And then that sort of pain faded. I'm just hoping tomorrow I can work out, because I've got a bit of a numb shoulder from where they put the injection in, where I had my shot. I don't feel like woozy or anything after having the shot, which is great. So it looks like I'm going to be okay on that front. But yeah, I'm hoping I can just work out again tomorrow, because I'll probably need it. I don't know. I'll see how I feel when I wake up, but tends to be like my day starts after my workout, because then I feel good. Oh, and gonna do a live stream tomorrow. All goes to plan. Maybe Sunday as well. I might do a fair bit of streaming over the next few days. We'll see. Depends what I want to do though. I have been wondering about maybe playing a mod pack again. Earlier when I talked about myth busting, I think I'm just looking to do something a little different for a bit. Could be that too. Been sort of tempted by a mod pack, but I really felt like the next time I play a mod pack, I don't want it to be like just firing up and playing something. I want it to be like some big... There's a hopper missing. Don't know how I missed that one out of all of them. Do I have one on me? I actually have hoppers on me. Yeah, I don't want to just like fire up and play a mod pack. I want to have a bit more of a plan beforehand. The Stone Block series that we did, that was half like fire up and play and half having a plan. The idea to build like underground actually manifested really well. Yeah, I think I'd like to go into like another world with more of a plan. Do you stream Diablo when you play, says Owly Muffin? My last live stream was on Diablo. That's now on my second channel if you want to go and watch it. I do not plan on really streaming it again. And I'm glad I did stream it because it gave me like a space to talk about the game and just get a bunch of stuff off of my chest and have a waffle about it. But I don't think I could do that over and over again with Diablo. So I've been playing that game for myself. It's, you know, like a very nostalgic childhood game, Diablo 2. And I really missed out on Diablo 3 and just wanted to like indulge. I'm gonna do that again with City Skylines 2. These are like my two games where I'm like, dude, just take some time off, play this and have fun. So I felt like I hadn't streamed enough, and maybe you know, I wasn't quite in the mood for this, so I wanted to do this stream that I'm doing right now after my episode went out. So I was like, okay, we'll do Diablo then. And yeah, it was Wednesday, wasn't it? It was Wednesday, yeah. And it turned out to be a pretty good one. City Skylines 2 is going to be great, says Goofy Me. Yeah, I think it'll be good. My concern is just that it's clearly like the same game but heavily polished, and many of the best mods and, you know, really good changes have been brought along. My only concern is that the game itself might feel the same, whereas like maybe the aesthetics and the city designing and the creativity, I feel like all of that will be enhanced. But what about the like air quotes logistical side of the game, or you know, the management sim? Is that going to be a big improvement? Because the way they've described it, they kind of sounded like they're going to play it a bit safe and make it so that, like in the first one really, things tend to balance themselves out. So if you're not very good at managing a city, you can kind of crack on and play anyway and have fun. Which is good in one way, but in another, for people who really want to manage a city and have a challenge there, like, when you design the game like that, the problem is, if you fail the challenge, like, it balances itself out. I experienced that with every city I played in. I could make tweaks and changes where it felt like I was starting to push the city and make more money and doing good things. But when that started to fall apart and not work, you didn't get punished for it in a way where it was like, now your city doesn't work. It just figured itself out and kind of hobbles along. And there's pluses and minuses to that. So I think if you want to get into the management stuff, I think it's going to be disappointing. And I want to get into that management stuff just as long as it's fun. Sometimes those sorts of management games aren't really my thing. So it's probably going to be on the good side for me, because I'm really interested in the city building, the aesthetics, the making it all look gorgeous, and the game looks gorgeous anyway. So it'll probably turn out pretty good for someone like me. Russell Wood, thank you so much for 25 months of support, dude. That's incredible. Can't thank you enough. You could have difficulty, even custom tiers maybe, says Transit Biker. Yeah, that would be a great idea, and it wouldn't surprise me if, like, shouldn't there, like, be a mod already for that game that fixes the issues I'm describing, because they're in the base game? Like, I would expect that to be a thing, and I don't know if it is or it isn't. Management was the most frustrating thing for me in City Skyline 1, since there was this stuff that was unexplainable, buggy, and not fixable. Well, I don't know to what you're referring, but my experience of it was just that there were so many variables, but like if you tried to, you know, make money by having a well-organized city and stuff, you could kind of like push it in that way, but the cities never break. And because of that, it's like, if you experiment, it's a little harder to like learn from your failures, I guess, when it just hobbles along and works. So I always just got this sense of like, you'd experiment, you'd try stuff, you'd see things change, like number goes up, then you do other stuff, number comes back down again. Like it was for me, wait, why am I going back and forth? I've got the free cam for this. It's always just a bit tricky to really figure out how to, you know, continuously make your city better and better, I guess. I was about to say, didn't have a whole stack of these earlier, so that was for that bit. Wait a minute, then that one needs to be powered? No, it doesn't, because, yeah, the thing sits on it, okay. Right, then this one is powered, and that's it. Right, now we're on the grind, going around and putting all these blocks into place. Let's change the topic for a minute, shall we? How about a little bit of old Harry Potter? Oh, wait, where's the zoom key? Oh, no, wait, I'm doing it all wrong. Harry Potter. Potter. I've been watching the Potter movies, right? They came up on Netflix, so I thought, yeah, let's get into that. I've seen a couple of them recently. I want to watch those. It's been so long, right? I haven't seen the 4th movie, the 6th, 7th, or 8th, right? Like, I don't know how, like, I've managed to forget that, like, I haven't seen these movies or whatever, right? I thought I'd seen them all. And I was thinking about when they were released, and it was when I was like getting into extreme metal and watching, I don't know, like playing Call of Duty and watching gore games and, you know, gore games, gore movies, Evil Dead, you know, Night of the Living Dead, all that kind of stuff. And I had a right old attitude on me. And I probably would have been like, Harry Potter's lame, man. That's not metal. So I saw, you know, I saw the first ones when I was a kid, and then maybe I just lost interest, and then all these years later, you just haven't thought about it for ages. You've got a different mindset now, and I just sort of thought I'd seen them all, right? And now I'm learning I haven't, and I'm loving it. I'm like, dang, there's just like a whole bunch of stuff here for me to enjoy now. This is cool. You know? Isn't that only 7 movies? There's 8. The last one is a 2-parter. And the way it's released and the way it's, you know, put together is essentially 2 movies just with a part 1 and a part 2. I'm really enjoying it though, because it's just, you know, good to be into stuff. And I thought I'd seen all these movies, and apparently I haven't. I think I remember some of the details about, like, how it ends and the fact that Gollum dies as well. Like, I think people told me that when I wasn't interested, so I didn't really, like, register it. And then years later I thought, because I know that, I've seen it, maybe. Yeah, spoilers, Gollum dies. Dies at the Death Star. Sad moment. I really wish Spielberg hadn't have done that, you know. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's crack on. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm now halfway through the second to last movie. I thought the Half-Blood Prince was pretty decent, had a bit of a quirky tone to it. I think the third one is probably the best in the series. I might even go back and just rewatch a couple of them again, because they were just so much fun. Oh, and now I get to do all the deep dive on, like, the fan analysis and all that kind of stuff. You know, I know that how YouTube works. There's going to be so many, like, breakdown and analysis videos. I can just have a field day for that. Kind of like I did with Game of Thrones after I rewatched that. Get that, like, extra level of enjoyment from it. That T-Rex swallowing Vader was a surprise. Oh, yeah. Yeah, in the 9th movie. Yeah, that one. Carl says, Harry Potter just never got through to me. After I watched them, I was like, alright, those were movies. I didn't have any impression. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like that, right? I'm not sure I can tell you why I like the Harry Potter movies, because they do this thing that I really don't like, and I've moaned about before, which is It's why I don't like the superhero stuff. It's the whole like, oh, look at me waving my Expelliarmo, you know, Floriferous. These like spells and potions and secrets and magic. It's like a world without rules, and therefore like consequences don't really exist, nor do understanding the stakes. Despite that, I still really enjoy it because, you know, there's always a spell, isn't there? Like, what's behind a spell then? It's not like physics. Like, if you watch an action movie with physics, you understand that explosion would have killed you if you were closer to it. You understand the stakes. When it's people pointing sticks at each other and yelling, you know, what are some of the other... Yeah, Expelliarmo, that's the one I remember. But there's a whole bunch of them. When they're just yelling words at each other and it's like... It's all at the whim of the writer, right? If Harry yells Expelliarmo and Voldemort says, you know, Killiarmo, the writer decides who wins. Whereas, you know, if it's an action movie and one guy's got a gun and the other one's got a knife and there's 10 meters between them, you're pretty sure you understand who's going to win, right? Like, so you understand the stakes naturally. And you don't have that in something like Harry Potter. Yet for some reason I still like it. I can't tell you why. Because I also think all the names of the potions and stuff are kind of lame. But it's, I don't know, it's got a charm. It's just got something about it that makes me like it. That's one of the things I liked about The Sorcerer's Apprentice. There was at least some grounding in reality. I don't know what The Sorcerer's Apprentice is, but it sounds like... I don't know, sounds familiar in a way. There is a medieval historian YouTuber that has a comparison analysis video on the book Winterfell versus the TV Winterfell. You would enjoy it if you like Game of Thrones, if you're into that kind of thing. That's totally what I'm getting at. If you want to tweet that at me, that's something I can bookmark and watch later. My favourite magical systems are the ones where you need some sort of magical energy input. Like, for example, if you want to do a fire spell, you'll need a small bit of copper to make sparks. As Neo says, meow. I like the sound of that too. It sounds to me like the context of that might be a bit more from a computer game, right? Like, you have magic, but then you need mana. And the more powerful the magic, the more mana it requires. There's some, you know, if you lower mana, then you can't just whip up a spell that wins for you, right? But then I can't, off the top of my head, recall seeing magic presented to you in that way through something like a TV show or a movie. It's not like I've watched a lot of that, because if you do try and do it that way, I'd say, like a lot of things, there's not really like a rule around if it works or not. It tends to be execution. Like, I could imagine you could execute that in a way that made it interesting for the viewers, right? Like, you can bring them in and make them understand the sort of boundaries and what's required for the magic, so they understand the stakes a bit better. You could probably pull that off. Did you know Tango played your new album while streaming? Says Paludu Plays. I was told that he, or that all of you were telling him that he should play my record, and then since then, I wasn't aware if he had or he had not, but I also had people tell me that he did stream my record before he actually did. So now when I get a comment like that, I'm like, are they just saying that because someone already said that? Like, they told me, oh, Tango streamed your record, and like, no, he didn't. He talked about possibly doing that on his Metal Mondays. I was assuming he would stream it on Monday because I sent him a copy of the MP3s anyway. This gives me a moment to talk about something. So, like, people keep asking me if they can use the music, and I just don't reply. And the reason why is because I don't really want to have something written down of me saying if you can, or air quotes, can't use it. Basically, like, you can use or not use any piece of music out there in the world, like in your video, And then there might be consequences to that based on the legal rights that you may or may not have to use that music, in what context, what license it was, what does the license allow you to do, yada yada yada. My music is not published under any license. I own all of the rights to it, which means I can enforce those rights at any point I want to, right? I don't want to tell people I don't know, or like anyone out there on the internet, that they can or can't use my music, because they may end up using it in a way that I don't like. And I don't want to put it under some publishing license that I might not really understand, right? So the dealio is, I'm not giving anyone permission to do it. I have the power to selectively enforce if I want to. So without saying, oh yeah, you can use my music, what I'm getting at is, like, if someone goes and puts it in a time lapse or uses it in some sort of context similar to how I use people's music, that's probably fine, and I'm probably not going to do anything about it, right? But it doesn't mean they have the rights to do that with my music. So the reason, you know, that I don't want to put it under license and stuff is because I don't want someone to do something scummy with it. If I find out someone's using my music and saying a bunch of racist, homophobic stuff in a video with my stuff in the background, or let's say someone's just reposting it and making money off it as if they're their own, like uses like that, I am like, may want to actually do something about and go, hang on a minute, I really don't like how my music is being used here, and then I want to go in and do something about it, right? Like, if someone starts re-uploading it somewhere and I'm not cool with that, like, I might have shot myself in the foot by publishing it with a fair use license or something, right? Whatever it's called, Creative Commons. So yeah, basically, like, that's the dealio. No one actually has permission, but just understand, like, if you were to use it, you wouldn't have permission from me. But if you understand why you don't have permission from me, and, you know, you got a smart head on your shoulders, you probably get what I'm getting at, right? But if someone out there, like, exploits my music in a way that I don't like, does something with it that I'm not cool with, I have full control over it to do what I want. It's the same thing that C418 did as well. Would that also apply to people who use your music for sampling, says Foofy? Yes. Great question, because I love sampling in music, and chances are it's not going to be a problem, but I'm not going to come out here and say yes or no to it, because, again, you want to have that control over your own creative expressions and whatnot. Because if I heard someone, again, like, sampling it with some horrible political message that I didn't agree with, or maybe sampling it in a way where it's pretty much ripping the music off, it's hard to imagine how that would be done. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is like, you know, my child, air quotes. So, like, you feel sort of protective over it, and like, hey, I created this, I want it to be, like, seen in the right light. And so for that reason, you know, I'm not publishing it under any license, and I own all the rights to it. And it's up to you to take that information and then make your own decision, really, about what you want to do. I heard that AI music generation is something that's coming up, and they are finding musicians concerned that it's going to damage the industry. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm like that with my writing. Yeah, so I am really excited for some of the stuff AI can do. Like, I was messing around with something the other day, quite a while ago actually, that wasn't quite there, where you could give it a prompt, and I was typing in stuff like, you know, showgazy, ethereal darkness, and this thing was clearly not trained on my sort of music. But it would spit out some really weird sounds back to you. And what's great about that is that if you like doing music from a sort of remix perspective, like, you just kind of need some sounds to get you started, like some aesthetics. And like, once you got a noise that an AI has generated, maybe there's a bit of a melody in there, you can start to like build rhythm around it and manipulate it, and like I feel like it's a great place to get a spark where you just hear like a bit of an idea, an inspiration in the sound that it spits out to you. Maybe your end product doesn't even like have that original thing still in it, but it would be a great way to get it to spit out textures, especially if you're like stuck somewhere in a song at some point. I can imagine myself, like I've been there so many times where you're kind of looking for something like, oh, it needs to, like I need an instrument that has this like big bang to it or something, and you're just not quite getting it together. If we had like Chat GPT like way to talk to instrument creation, like the aesthetics of an instrument, because virtual instruments can be created through waveform manipulation, you know, and oscillation, and there's a whole bunch of great tools for doing that already, but you really need to know your way around them. If we got to a point where language could start to be the interface, where you're like, hey, I want this thing to sound buzzy, but not harsh buzzy, like soft buzzy and low and bassy and rumbly, and like that could be a way to bridge spending half an hour tweaking a bunch of knobs and dials trying to get to this texture of sound you want. Like, it could be incredible. And you know, you got to realize with the AI stuff is productivity, I think, is the best way to look at this. I think the replacement stuff is a little, there will be some things that get replaced, but when things get replaced, I feel like they open up new doors. What might happen with music, what's kind of really uncertain, is how powerful it gets at creating music. If it does get to a point where you can literally manipulate music you want to listen to at a level that feels like humans have done it through text prompts, or maybe AI just generates songs based on the top 20, right? It just figures out all the things in there that work and spits out some amazing song for you. Like, the landscape is undoubtedly going to change, and I can't help but feel like artificial artists in some capacity, AI art, is going to be like a component of it. And to think really far ahead, this is, I've said this with like movies and stuff, is if this stuff becomes as powerful as it looks like it might be able to, it might just be a new way of consuming music. It might be a new way of consuming video and whatnot. Like, think about how you go to Spotify for a playlist when you're in a particular mood. Like, you know, I feel kind of like energetic today, or maybe you're about to work out and you want some workout music, right? And then Spotify's got like all these different sounds that could suit you. With the AI stuff, it might be like you can talk to it. Like, I know we're using text prompts at the moment, but let's make that even simpler, because the technology will get better, and it will probably get to a point where you just start talking to it rather than typing, and you're like, you know, I want something that's metal, but maybe not like full on, a little on the softer side, maybe some electronic beats in there, you know, a bit of a boom, 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 boom. Like, give me something that's like warm and upbeat and going, but a bit metal, right? And maybe it can just generate it for you, or narrow in on artists that have that. Just think about how your experience will be different as a listener, and you know, that might be that, like, in the future, let's say it does replace artists, your experience as a listener might become describing exactly what you want to hear, and it being fed to you, right? Like, imagine if some of the ideas you had for music could just come out of your head through talking to this, you know, AI Spotify app, and then it just making the music you want to hear for you. So that's interesting, right? Like, wow, maybe it could get there. The other thing that's interesting about that is like the feedback loop, where it's like, what happens when that stuff overtakes regular artists, and then, you know, do we get stuck in a feedback loop where AI is generating everything for us and we can't break out of its confines? Like, we struggle to create things beyond it because it's in its own feedback loop. An AI music echo chamber, says Jim Baggins. I feel like that could have been done with a joke about music and echoing, you know, because of sound. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's often what's being discussed about, like, alignment. It sort of overlaps a little bit with the alignment issue, but one of the big things that's being discussed is that you have this enormous body of language that the large language models are being trained on. But they're sort of approaching this threshold now where the AI is generating so much of its own text in response that it's going to overtake the body of text that we as humans have created. So in the future, all of our digital data, it might be that the bulk of it has been created by the AI and the lesser of it has been created by us. And then it's that worry of like, what exactly does that mean? What exactly is happening when the AI is like now generating the majority of the text that it gets trained on? The statistic that I heard today was that like the body of human language, I don't know, that's been created over 10,000 years or something, gets like ChatGPT pumps out more every 2 hours or something. And I was like, what? You know, it almost sounded like maybe they got that wrong somewhere. I have a question about your music. Are you okay with your music being played as background music in streams while giving your full credit in label way exactly how you label what music you're listening to on your streams? Sorry if my question wasn't clear. Hopefully it's more understandable. I totally get it, and I have to be a little ambiguous again because I will not give anyone permission to do that, right? I can't give explicit permission. I want to have complete control over my music in case of someone using it in a way that I do not like. Right? Like that's about as much as I can say. Let's pop. Oh dang it! Use this. Pop over to the other side. Aha. Okay. Yeah. Wait. Where am I? Right? Because I'm not publishing my music under a license because if I do that, it might still get used. Like it might sound like I'm using something extreme here as an example, but as I said, it's like your music's your baby, and you'd hate for it to, I don't know. Let's say, okay, I'm gonna pick. Actually, I don't even want to mention this person that I don't like because I don't want to start talking about them. But there are people out there in the world that do rotten things that I don't agree with. They say stuff that I don't like, and if one day I found out they were constantly using my music in a way that I use other people's music, right, in my live streams, right, just in the background, credit on the screen, they're doing all of that. Like, I would be gutted if they did that because I published it under a license that they could use. So my music is not out there. I have complete control over it. I can selectively enforce it, and I'm not giving anyone permission to use it because then that's like potentially a legal air quotes agreement or whatever, right? So, I'm not saying anyone can use it, I'm just saying that's the way it's done. So, yeah, if you know what sort of person I am, if you're just creating, regular Minecraft content with nothing wrong in it, we're probably not going to have a problem, right? And it's all good. And and I air quotes want people to use my music too, of course. I just can't do it in a way where I give permission. I've looked up on this stuff, I've read into it, I know how copyright stuff works with music to an extent, and the best way to describe how it works is probably not how you think. Like I think even things like fair use are actually way more nuanced and complicated than people seem to think it is sometimes, and it's the same for like publishing licenses. Like if something is royalty free, it means you don't pay royalties. It doesn't mean you can just put it into your monetized project and make money off of it, right? It might even mean you can't use that music again in a live environment. Like I read some of the licenses for some music packages I brought before, and sometimes there's clauses in there like you're not allowed to use it at a disco or like an arena with more than 50 people in it, and it's just like, what is this? Like, it's called royalty free, yet there's all these little subcontracts and stuff. You can't monetize it, so people understand a lot of this stuff in quite a simple way, and you should start your own license. Use unless used wrongly. I like that. Why? It just sounds confusing. Hey, this might be finished, right? Like, I kind of thought... I'm pretty sure this over here took me, like... Oh, now I know why it took me so long. Because of that other bit that I need to do. That was a grind. Okay, so we're not done, but I know what we've got to do next. Okay, we'll crack on. It sucks that the easiest solution I see from a lot of streamers is don't respect any copyright and play copyright music and pray we don't get caught. I tend to read the contracts and I'm interested in music production and it's so complicated to me, says Martini. It is actually complicated, all that licensing stuff. And yeah, as for like the whole don't respect copyright and then play copyrighted music, yeah, that sounds similar to a lot of people calling like foul play on fair use. Like, fair use is a very grey area, and sometimes I think people kind of think it means, no, I can just use your stuff in my stuff, and it's not quite like that. By the way, we've had some noises in the air. I've just been waffling. Like, I'm so into it. I'm sorry if I missed anyone here. Enderbram, thank you so much for 24 months. That's 2 years. Mama Bear, 67 for 6. Sally Ann, 123, the legend, 91 months, approaching that 100 club. Evil X in the his house. Girly Gerber, thank you so much for 3 months. Really enjoy your content. Thanks for the insane vibes. Oh, insanity over here. Streaming from my my mental ward. I'm locked up in a straitjacket right now. Wait, what? How am I playing Minecraft in a straitjacket? I'm a Houdini. Okay, these jokes are just awful, aren't they? Cowboy Up, thank you for the cheers and biddies. Hello X, I've missed you, my dude. Good to have you back, my man. Thank you ever so much for supporting the channel with those biddies. And Foulrel1C23, thank you for 10 bumps. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. X Asylum, yeah. X Asylum. Doka Trap says, I always give credit in the descriptions and use the YouTube library. Now, in theory, you should be absolutely safe with that. The way I understand the YouTube library is you can pretty much just use it in YouTube videos, and under pretty much most context, you'll be good with that. But yeah, there's even like musicians' music who I use who I do not have explicit permission from, just because I couldn't get in touch with them or something like that. So I fully understand if I get those videos claimed at some point in time, right? And if they do, I'll respect that, because that's how that works. Anyway, you know, like, so if someone on YouTube is using my music in a way I don't like, I, you know, may do that to someone. I really don't expect that to happen, and I don't want it to happen, because it's a hassle, and, like, why would you want that to happen? One left? 2 left. This one here just activated right next to us. You might have seen the particle effects as well. It was really cool. Another fun thing is, sure, classical music is in the public domain. The reason you can't play it is because the arrangements are protected under copyright. You can play the pieces yourself on the instruments and then you'll be fine, says Null Void Face. I feel like you got it the wrong way around there. Isn't it the arrangements themselves that aren't? And some of the recordings are protected. I thought it was that way around. Like, because the music itself is... Because the thing with classical music is it existed before you could record audio. And probably before a lot of copyright stuff was in place. But then a lot of original stuff when copyright was first around had this, like, clause where eventually it runs out. So, like, after 50 years it runs out and it becomes public domain. And so, you know, for whatever reasons, classical music ended up falling into those categories, right? But I seem to remember it being a case of it's the recordings, right? Because let's say you're listening to some Wagner or some Bach, okay? Or what other names could I butcher? One of my favourites is Debussy. Yeah. Oh, Debussy, mate! Yeah, like, it's the recordings that are the issue. So you're not listening to Debussy play it. You're listening to a recording of someone who played his music at a later date. And there are lots of people that play classical music again at a later date. Right. Waffling and numbers and concentrating is hard. Oh yeah, and then we need the 19s from the gold ingots, that's right. So I need all of that. So we're going to come down here now and go 2 at the bottom, 1 and 19. Regarding classical music, the original sheets might belong to the family and someone else's recording nowadays are copyrighted, but on YouTube they can just strike the original playing, claiming that it's the recording insert of great musician name. Yeah, I've had a few of those strikes where it's like, yeah, that's not quite how it works, is what you're thinking. Like, if it just, I don't know, it feels illegitimate, but maybe it is. Again, all this copyright stuff, it's hard. And another thing is, like, I think it's really easy to get on a hate train when you, like, especially with all the stories that YouTubers tell you, oh, we got a copy strike, YouTube's so unfair and all of this. But a lot of stuff that's, like, has a good intent, like, there's good use of and does some good, can often be messy. And I feel like copyright is one of those really messy systems that can have a really bad image because, yeah, it can be exploited, but like, this legal stuff is really complicated, and most of us average folk are actually quite ignorant to, like, how difficult it is and how it works. And it's so much easier just to say it's all unfair and a load of nonsense, right? And yet you kind of forget when you're looking at this one incident that happens where some YouTuber's telling you how unfair it is and whatnot. You kind of forget, like, all the other good that this system does elsewhere in the world, like all the other parts around you that you just forget. Oh yeah, that all works, right? You know, some of this stuff's difficult to describe, but the fact that you have things like Netflix, you could possibly attribute to the fact that copyright systems work to some extent, because if they didn't, could Netflix compete if, like, piracy was very easy and straightforward, right, and didn't get you thrown in jail? So it's kind of difficult to point specifically at what, because stuff's so, like, interconnected and whatnot. But if you get what I'm saying, it's like, yeah, it's a messy system, and when you look at it in isolation, some situations can seem a bit absurd and whatnot. But, like, there's a lot of other stuff it's doing that keeps the wheels running, keeps the wheels turning for, like, many different things that you like and enjoy and whatnot. You know? One time I got a copy strike for a 200-plus-year-old Danish folk melody that I was covering. Like, I'm honoured YouTube thinks it was like a performance by an entire orchestra, but it's just me and my ukulele, lol. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, and, like, those are the stories that you do tell. Like, I've had strikes that are legitimate, right? You know, where it's like, yeah, I don't have the permission for that, you know. That's a fair strike. I've had bait and switch done on me as well. There was an artist who shall not be named, who was, like, up and coming and was, like, friendly with us YouTubers. Yeah, you can use my music, thanks for promoting it, and all this kind of stuff. And then they did a total bait and switch and started taking money from the people that they said, you can, you know, use my music, right? They gave us permission, then they did a bait and switch on the license, and they started taking the revenue from our videos. That's someone abusing the system, really. Copy strikes are really messy indeed. In my opinion, the problem is that the copy strikes have a higher ground here. Almost anyone can fake claim a copyright and take the revenue, but a creator needs a few days to prove that the claim is in fact wrong, and there's sometimes no guarantee you'll get that revenue back. Yes, I agree. I would just say that, like, it's not that almost anyone can do it, it's that bad actors can get into the system, right? I don't know how many bad actors get into the system, but they do, and it's not good. Definitely not good, and YouTube can definitely improve that, right? It's again, it's like when you look at it in that light, like, what about all the good it's doing? What about all the times? I think if you make it a little more personal, it might be a bit easier to understand. But, like, what if it were your music that someone was stealing, right? Then it would be like, oh, thank goodness for this copy strike system. Like, there's a lot of people using it legitimately, and we don't know because we constantly hear about the bad examples over and over again. So it would be nice if we could know those numbers, because then you might think, all these stories I've heard about YouTubers and these nasty copyright strikes. Again, no way am I saying any of this stuff is cool. It's just always putting things into perspective. if you learned that it's actually, because remember, there's a lot of people on YouTube. If it turned out, let's say, I'm going to make up a number, but like, go with me here. Let's say it was less than 0.1% were these nasty fraudulent claims, right? Because you hear about them all the time. Yes, there might be a lot of them. YouTube's a very big platform. There could be gazillions of legitimate copyright claims going on. I always wonder, like, when we learn about this stuff, like, we need to see the bigger picture a lot of the time. And I'm definitely absolutely not trying to excuse this behavior and say it's okay. It's just that, like, I want to know what it is in the bigger picture, because it could. Wait a minute, that one is the same age. Yeah, that's good, because it could turn out to be, like, actually really quite a fringe problem, but just one that gets like a whole bunch of attention, right? Like, who knows? I don't know. I want to know though. It's fascinating to me. Those sorts of perspectives always are. Like, because you're always building your worldview and what you think's going on out of information that's available to you. But you can't process all of the information, right? You can't have a truly balanced perspective. No one can. So yeah, like with this copyright strike stuff, it's absolutely pants, all these fake claims, bait and switch like I've been a victim of. But you don't have that A/B testing universe. It could be this might be a lot easier for it to be worse. It might be that when you run the simulation we're all living in, most of the time it's not as good as it is right now. You don't know. The argument isn't to say, oh, it's actually good. Hey, maybe you run that simulation and it turns out, no, most of the time, like, there's no exploitation at all, right? Most of the time, you know, they do it way better than this. But anyway, at the end of the day, you always got to strive to do better, right? Regardless of all the thought experiments, if there's a problem, yes, we should try and improve it. You missed a shovel in one of the drops of the gold nuggets. Thank you so much. You lot are such eagle eyes. Thank you for pointing out my mistakes when I make them. Fortunately, with a system like this, if you make a mistake, you learn about it in a pretty non-destructive way, because it's like you notice that, oh, that one didn't like age properly, and then you go and fix the redstone and you're good. I think complaining about how the copyright system works and complaining about having the system at all are two very different things. I'd imagine most people do the former. Yeah, they complain about how it works or doesn't work, right? Yeah. I mean, there was a time when that thing on YouTube didn't exist. I was around at that time. And I guess maybe the experience then was like, you might just find someone's using your stuff somewhere and it's like, oh, I don't want them to do this. I don't know. I don't know, because it wouldn't, like, people wouldn't be claiming illegitimately on you. So, and I guess the experience, oh, do you know what? I experienced it. Okay, it's coming back to me now. So in a time before all of this, yeah, something similar did happen. I've just never thought about it through this context, right? There was a YouTuber who would take my world downloads, use my thumbnails, and do my tutorial in my world download and pass it off as their own content, right? And I'd even message them about it, like, hey, this isn't cool. You know, at least, like, you should be saying, hey, this is someone else's stuff, and I'm just, like, showing you it again. And they were like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll do that. And then they didn't, you know? They clearly had a strategy to just use my content to grow their channel. So that isn't like the music copyright system stuff, right? But it had a certain similar sort of smell to it, I guess, now that I look back on it. It was like, yeah, someone was ripping off my stuff, and I didn't like it. And there was nothing I could do about it, but be polite and ask them not to. Which they agreed to, yeah. And, you know, I don't know where that channel is now, but I'm pretty sure they probably never got anywhere. Most of the channels that I've seen, like, blatantly rip off something at a certain point in time, they eventually die off, because if you're just copying other people's stuff, you're not creating anything yourself, and like that's the source of the channel is the creativity of the individual. That's the thing that gives you the content, right? Over and over again. So if you're out there just like ripping off someone else's, like, that's just not sustainable. Aquatic Leaf says that's plagiarism. Yeah, it was definite plagiarism. And did they have the right to do any of that or not? Ooh, who knows? Like, copywriting Minecraft creations, I don't know quite how that works, but obviously it rubbed me the wrong way just to like see my thumbnails on someone else's channel and then ripping off my content just by using my world download and like redoing my tutorial. It was not a nice experience. Have you heard about Stevie, who have been outright stealing hundreds of redstone contraptions and the copy strike system still didn't get them? Even though there's a lot of calling them out. It's a big topic in some parts of the redstone community. I do believe I've stumbled across that channel, and I've stumbled across plenty that do redstone stuff where I'm like, I feel like this is not you. Like, I've definitely seen this somewhere else first before. Like, sometimes redstone is a little too specific, you know? If you think about it, with redstone, you're trying to solve a problem. Like, the problem right now is, like, aging copper to a certain age and having it automatically come back, right? Like, if someone else came up with this exact arrangement, like Pixel Riffs has done it, and sort of said, hey guys, look what I've made, it's a bit too specific, you know, at that point. That's the problem. And when you come across those channels, that tends to be their downfall, is like, it's like, nah, this is too much of a coincidence. And then it gets worse when it's like, yeah, maybe you see it on one video and it's a bit sus, but then when all the content is like that, you just, yeah, it's just not good, is it? I didn't actually want to do that yet, because gonna need this. Gonna need it. I think we had another noise in the ear 15 minutes ago. Again, the waffles. Kimberly, you 67. Thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate your support, and hope you're enjoying the stream. If you're still there, I was waffling a lot. They've stolen videos from Mumbo one time, and that got a lot of attention, but the channel keeps going. Yeah, there's this unfortunate problem with, like, because audiences are so big and widespread on YouTube. Like, a lot of people might see, oh, you stole this from so-and-so, and just might not care. Or maybe they do, but, like, not really, because they like the content on the channel. It's if you know Mumbo and you realise, oh, that's a person, and, like, they've been contributing to this community for a long time. It hits you different, right? It hits you, like, what if you saw an accusation on Mumbo's channel of, like, hey, you stole this from so-and-so? You know, Mumbo, we know Mumbo wouldn't do that. Right? Sometimes people can, you know, watch these channels where people rip stuff off and have that same sort of emotional attachment to the creator, not realizing that's what they do. So, you know, it allows that stuff to happen because of how big and diverse the audience is. If Redstone content was a really tight-knit community where everyone knew each other, even the audience, like, yeah, then maybe you wouldn't get away with that. And Redstone is unfortunately just one of those areas where it's really easy to rip other people off, because you just take the contraption, right? And when you show it to your audience, chances are some of them might have not seen it somewhere else. I'm pretty sure Steve has a 75% dislike ratio on most of his videos, says Neo, says meow. Yeah, and you know, a channel, like, here's the thing. If they're stealing content, they're probably not too concerned with, like, how their audience sees them, because their audience doesn't see them. Their audience sees content they've ripped off, right? Like, it would be hard to feel the same way about your channel if your content was just stealing from other people as it would your authentic stuff. Just imagine it. Just imagine it's like, here's my channel and all the things I've created. How are you going to feel about that compared to, here's my channel of stuff that I've ripped off, most likely because you're just trying to make money. So, like, those dislikes just, they add engagement, but then, yeah, they don't really, like, affect the uploader. They're not going to stop uploading because of some dislikes, if that's what they do, if they just rip stuff off. And I think it'd be very difficult to enforce, because when you have obvious examples of people who rip off other people's content, you can find blurry examples. Like, it's always that, like, you know, you got two extremes, and then in the middle there's that grey area. And the problem is that Redstone itself is a shared thing. Like, Redstone creations are shared in the community. They're shared with people who credit one another a lot of the time. But, like, who came up with this flying machine? Like, who did this? No one knows anymore. It just becomes a part of the Redstone arsenal. Someone in chat mentioned that the Redstone community is good because they remember things like the EFO hopper clock. I would argue that that's not the Redstone community. I think that's just the prevalence of EFO's style and personality. He's got that kind of, air quotes, enigma, if you like, to what he does and his presence. It has just somehow stuck that that's the EFO hopper clock, right? And that's a rare thing to have. And I think it's only things that big YouTubers tend to achieve. Like, you probably can't name a contraption with someone's name on who's got, you know, 10,000 subs or whatever and contributed it to the Redstone community. I've got a feeling I did something wrong here. 1, 2, 1, 2. So these ones are correct. No, I haven't goofed up yet. Okay, no, right, we're on to the second bit now. Well, I just goofed by falling in this hole. I think it's more of a phenomena of, like, who EFO is and having that big channel size and being someone who creates interesting stuff, that it gives him the opportunity for something like that to stick, and in this case it just did. Through how all that stuff works. Oh yeah, this is 3 and 3 now is the new setup. That's why I was saving all of those shovels over here. And then I threw some on the ground, which now I need to pick them back up, I guess. Impulse item filter. Yes, and I believe that impulse item filter is not actually impulses, right? I think he was showing off... I could be mistaken, so don't take my word for this. But I think he was showing off someone else's design and crediting them. But his video became so popular that people used his name to search for it. I know this because I do it too, and I see it in the search engine. You type impulse item filter to get that specific design, and it's stuck because of that. Again, it could actually be his, but I've got a feeling it wasn't. I got a feeling he was, you know, just showing off a really useful design and credited them and stuff, but people just searched impulse item filter because they remembered Impulse made the video, and then it just sort of snowballed from there, right? I need to drink some water. What I'm trying to describe is more of like a social phenomenon with information. What about impulses covering hoppers with composters? I don't know if that's just me or someone else. That probably came from like the Ilmango Psycraft community, because they like look into the code, and at some point in time they realized that putting furnaces on top of hoppers like actually was good for performance, and then when composters were added, they realized that was even better. And it sounds like you've made an association with Impulse, probably because that's where you first saw it. So like with the item filter thing, I think it just snowballed. It just snowballed out of that term just being used over and over again. You know, I think even in my videos, I always call it the Impulse item filter, right? And so people search for it when they want to use it themselves. And if you think about what it is and what it does, like, it's a really simple to understand concept, because you see it, it's not difficult to build, and you just see the item filter bit inside the hopper, and it's like, oh, you just put the item you want filtered and then you block off the rest. Brilliant. I understand that. So like when you've got a contraption that people who aren't redstoners can understand how to operate, and you know, it's got item filter, explains itself, it's a concept that arises naturally, it's not something obscure that you've introduced, and then the name just sticks with it. Now, in the redstone community, there are people who like create flying machines, you know, all sorts of different farms, and their names just don't stick to it, right? Like, think of a tree farm that's got someone's name on it. Maybe there's one out there. I can't think of one. Scumpus. Skizzleman's Compass. Scumpus. I like that word. Scumpus. I don't know why. Queen Britannia says, "Hey X, hey guys, got my cool mouse pad." Ah, that must be the Patreon reward mouse pad, right? Evil X playing some cards, right? With his. I'm trying to remember the picture now. Isn't it all the other skins, all the other Xisuma skins? But yeah. Hey, it's the legendary one and only Winnie T. Ford, 63 months. Thank you so much, Winnie. Hope all is well. All's alright. I got bit by a dog today, but you know, I'm okay. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm kicking. Oh, that one's got 2 in up there. Huh. Let's double check these again. Maybe it was just that one. Yeah, yeah, I've had a few people get their Patreon rewards lately. Just every now and then, you get a few more sign-ups. I was wondering if I should perhaps push it a little bit more and let people know it exists. You can get, like really cool posters, mouse pads. Oh, apparently I didn't finish this one off either. Right, now I need to go get some more of those shovels. Yeah, you can get mouse pads, figurine, you can get an Evil X figurine, and you can get a poster. When I say mouse pads, there's actually only one design. There's the Evil X figurine, there's one mouse pad, but when you get a poster, you can get between 5 designs that were made exclusively for the posters. Neo says, Meow says, "I actually didn't even know you had a patron until now, X." Oh dang, I need to do a better job of letting you know then. I feel like I should have one of these for Patreon, but I don't. Huh. I don't have one for Patreon. I was going to put an ad on the screen. What else could I put an ad on for? I don't feel like doing anything. What's this one? Twitch. I have to wait to see it on my phone. What's that say? Automatically stream on Twitch. I can't actually see it because part of the stream is obscured. Whatevs, bruv. Whatevs. 4. I don't know what that is. I've got 4 channels on YouTube. Is that one? And one of those is inactive now. Oh god, I need to update all this stuff. I really do. I think at some point I want to have a little bit of fun redesigning the whole stream look and stuff, but every time I go to do it, I'm just like, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. Anyway. The Philosophicats, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. Salmon is not on fire. Thank you for using the Amazon Prime subscription. Appreciate you. The item sorter was first made by Tyron X. There you go. There you go, Billman. But Tyron X is probably just a small YouTuber. And if a bigger YouTuber picks up your design and uses it, chances are it's just going to get associated with them, right? Because that's the way it kind of works with how people remember stuff, right? You're not like, oh, that amazing Tyron X item filter that I saw in an Impulse video. It's just like, you just go straight to the Impulse thing. So yeah, to like try and, I feel like I've really waffled on this one. I probably made it, it's probably really clear what I'm trying to say, but we'll try and wrap it up. Like, oh, this is the one where you don't need to do that, so I just need to, oh yeah, I've got to replace that then. Right. Right. And then also take those. So yeah, this idea that like people are out there stealing redstone and re-uploading it. The problem with enforcing something like that is because most of redstone has concepts and ideas baked into it that someone else contributed to the community. So like if you build like a tree farm and it's got a TNT duper in it, like you didn't design that TNT duper, but it's a part of all the components you're putting together. And if it's got an item filter to separate the saplings and the logs, that's Tyrone X right there. You know what I mean? Like that's the issue with it. So it may seem simple to enforce when you're looking at someone who's literally just like clearly not putting their own creativity into it. But then, do you have to prove that they are or they're not? Because two people can come up with the same contraption. Case in point, many moons ago, I made a contraption where a door, like, you'd walk up to a wall and red slime blocks would fling you up and push you in to the wall higher up, and you'd walk through a secret entrance. And then, like, years later, Mumbo did the same thing. And I saw the video and I was like, Mumbo, I already did this! How could you? But of course he hadn't seen my video, right? Like, it is possible for two people just to independently create the same thing as well. So it becomes a very tricky thing to enforce when you know, not only move away from the obvious example, but even when you start to examine the obvious example and say, can I actually prove they didn't do this stuff? Because I imagine on occasion, maybe they tweak something a little bit, right? You're stealing other people's designs, but maybe you're aware, maybe you're actually good at redstone. You couldn't make it, so you just decided to steal other people's stuff. And, you know, you're ripping off this Mumbo contraption, and you're like, oh, Mumbo, you didn't optimize this. I'm going to tweak that little thing there. Whatever. Is it now still Mumbo's, right? Like, so this is the problem with enforcing such a thing. It's just very complicated. It says I normally stream on Twitch. Maybe that was reserved for when I was going to stream on YouTube, which I still have never got around to doing. I've been meaning to do that for so long, just to do a one-off over there. To, like, actually promote over here, and I just never get around to doing it. Cleo says she needs you. Oh wait, she left. Maybe she's messaging me on Discord? Let's see what happens. She needs to have words with me. I don't know what I could have possibly done wrong, because I have not been playing that much on the server lately. I've been kind of quiet. I've been down here in my own little man cave, you know, plugging away at this project. Did we run out? I think we ran out of our droppers. Are you going to modify every single hopper? What's the system for? Every hopper? We've placed all the hoppers we need modifying. We're at the very end of this, by the way. It feels weird that this has taken, like, less than 2 hours. I spent, like, 3 or 4 hours doing it the first time. But then again, I was also figuring it out at the same time. So maybe that took a lot longer than I realized. Hey, X, what would you say your favorite Minecraft skin that you've used is? And other people's on the servers? I mean, you know, I absolutely love this classic Doom Guy skin right here. It felt really right when I first put it on, and just thinking about it again right now, it became very clear to me that I'm really fussy with creative vision. Being a creative person, if I collaborate with someone, I really need to remind myself, like, to try and loosen the boundaries. If I work with an artist, I can get really fussy if I want to. I can be like, make that bit over there a bit brighter, you know? Like, that's just the creative minds just constantly looking at stuff and wondering if it could be different or not, right? Tannenbaum 20, thank you so much for 22 months of support. Hi X, how was your week? Pretty chill, pretty relaxed. Got bit by a dog. That happened. So what was I saying about the skin? The person who made it for me, like Raven's Child, good old friend who I've kind of lost communication with, which is a bit of a shame. I really enjoyed playing Minecraft with that guy. And I think he still makes videos to this day. You know, his channel never really took off, but I think he still just loves making videos to this day. I remember checking in a while ago and just seeing that he was still at it, which is cool. He made me this skin, and like, I don't remember questioning it or anything. I was just like, there it is. There's my skin. I'm gonna wear that skin now. Oh yes, that's it. I came back up here. Came back up here to craft stuff. I don't have... Wait, I'm looking in the wrong spot. That always helps. Looking in the right spot, way more successful. I think I'm going to stand for the last bit of the stream. You bit the dog first, says Thuddy is here. I did, yes. I learnt my lesson. Don't bite a dog, it'll bite you back. You alright? Was it a bad bite? Says God, Pamian. I'm okay. I'm a big lad, I'll be alright. You know, the teeth that went in quite a way. But it's not bleeding or anything. I don't have a plaster on the wound anymore. I'll probably wipe it down again before I go to sleep. You know, every so often you just treat it again. But I've got antibiotics. I've had a shot, so I should be good. Meow says he's a big boy. I'm 6'2". So yeah. Like if you're smaller, the dog is bigger, right? Therefore, you know, ratios and stuff like that is what I'm getting at. The bigger you are, the smaller the dog is. Alright, the dog hasn't changed size, but if you're big, it's now smaller. It might sound like I'm talking gibberish, but trust me, I'm not. Oh, not that big then. I'm 6'4", says Neo, says Meow. You're one of those people. One of those people that are taller than me. Why do you always stand in front of me at a concert, man? I've been to too many concerts where the one person taller than me is in front of me. I don't know how that happens. I don't even know, man. What's that? Can he wee, man? What's that thing? Oh my god. That's from like a show or something. Oh my god. Like, growing up with my friends and stuff back in the day, everyone does this, right? There's those shows you watch, those funny ones, and there's those little moments from it that you like hold on to and say to each other. That was one of those popped into my head, but it's been so long I can't even remember it properly. I was browsing YouTube on my telly the other day. Like, I always have a little flick through it, what it recommends. Just kind of curious, like what is it going to show me? And it put up this Harry Enfield video from so long ago. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I remember that. And it's so funny. It's like 1980s Liverpool versus Arsenal from the 1930s. And they're all like, the Arsenal players, they're all like smoking and having tea and crumpets. Hey look, a machine's coming in. And the commentary about it is just hilarious. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Finny on the wing. I was like, oh god, I remember Finny on the wing. Me and my mate used to joke about it with his little outside of the foot dribbling. So, like, the one person in chat who's seen this video I'm on about knows what I'm on about. But then there's this bit where the commentator's like, it's like the ball's glued to his foot, and the Arsenal players literally glued the ball to his foot and running around everyone. Oh, it cracks me up so much. Good times, good memories. That's such a good one. Yeah, if you want to like watch it and find out if you think it's funny too, you know, like it's an old show, but it's just a hilarious clip. It'll probably help if you know a bit or two about English football. But yeah, look up Harry Enfield, Arsenal, Liverpool, and you'll probably get it. And it's like black and white. The whole video is black and white, and it's so funny. It makes me chuckle. A show like that does that because you got those memories of watching it when you were younger. Whereas I can kind of understand if it may not be funny anymore now. Can I ask your approximate age? Says the left one back. Well, the doctor I saw today thought I was a teenager. I'm at least 20 years older than a teenager, I'll tell you that. That was so funny. I was like, I'll take that. That's a compliment. Thanks. somewhere around here, I want to get a nice old thumbnail with our maybe logo at the top. Maybe you'll see in the thumbnail. Oh, look at that! That's not the fully aged copper. I want to see the action. I want to know how those blocks came to be. No one's thinking that. No one's thinking that. Maybe playing Minecraft prevents aging. If you want to know why I look younger to some people, maybe. It's not the first time it's happened, but I eat very clean. You know, I eat tons of veggies and meat and dairy. You know, cook the food myself, fresh ingredients and vegetables. I don't drink fizzy drinks. I don't have puddings. I don't. Oh wow. You know, I don't have those sugary treats. I do on occasion, right? Like, when the time is right, you know, I'll have something. And if I do, I tend to go with light things as well. Like, I have these little Roundtree's watermelon lollies. They're like 60 calories. Like, if you got a hankering for, you know, sugar craving for a bit of ice cream or something, like, make the smart decision. Have something like a Twister, right? Those little Twister lollies, they're like 60 calories. A Magnum's like 300. Like, these little things add up over time, you know? Like, minimize the amount of junk food that you're eating. Everyone has a little bit of something here and then, now and then. You know, if you're gonna have pizza, you can get that filthy Domino's, you know, caked in all sorts of artificial preservatives and flavorings, because that's, you know, why does McDonald's and Domino's taste the same wherever you get it from? Because it's not sourced with local ingredients. By the way, Trooper Joe, thank you for 48 months. Thank you so much, my dude. Wiggly Fox is here too for 40. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggly Fox wiggling. Who would have known? Who would have known? So yeah, like, you know, those little decisions that you make over and over again in your lifetime, they stack up. So, like, go for that, like, fresh, wholesome pizza. There's places that do it with fresh ingredients. I think, like, Ask Italia is one of those chains that's quite common, but if you go there, you're more likely to get, you know, fresh, locally sourced ingredients. Or make your own homemade pizza. So, like, decisions like that go a long way. Making sure you get your 8 hours of sleep. Trying to get a good bulk of sleep, good quality sleep. Try to minimize stress. Drink lots of water, hydrate. Don't drink those fizzy drinks. And then exercise is the other one. Keep your body in shape. Right? And all of these things, I feel like they add up. Like, one thing I noticed when I was quite young, but it's definitely true, is like, have you ever noticed like a similar demographic of people, but a distinction between them that you know about? One that's quite common that I notice is people who smoke. When you see older people who smoke, their bodies and their skin can look really knackered sometimes. Like, there's just this like look of aging that I think it's almost like accelerated aging, but they're like a lifetime smoker. And I noticed that. I noticed that early on. I noticed that when you see old people who have clearly been smoking most of their life, they look a lot older than people of the same age that don't smoke. So there's another great thing you can do. Don't smoke, don't vape, you know. I don't drink either. Alcohol is, you know, most of the world seems to love it. It's basically poison for your body. There's just nothing good other than if you want to be intoxicated. You know, if you want, or you enjoy the taste. I never enjoyed the taste. A streamer advising on sleeps and stress habits. Did I wake up in a different universe as Mighty Quack? Yep. Yep, a lot of gaming culture is not something I identify with. I'm not into it. Like I have regular breaks from the computer. I use a standing desk to get my posture nice and good. I've got ergonomic keyboard and mouse. I don't have RGB lights everywhere because RGB lights ain't in nature, you know? Yeah, like this is my whole, like, thing that I've been doing for such a long time, is just trying to, like, keep my health in tip-top shape if I can. And as a result, I feel like I've, you know, not aged as fast, basically. There's a lot of science that backs some of this stuff up too, especially working out. Like there's a fair bit of science that suggests that, and like when I say working out, you don't have to go heavy. You don't have to like, you know, try and be Arnie. Like just basic, a little bit of resistance training, you know, doing some squats, a little bench press, get some dumbbells, work your arms. Like you're stimulating your body's metabolism and its ability to repair itself, right? Because you gotta build that muscle back. When you're using it, you're creating micro tears in the muscle, and like so you're getting your body into a shape where it can repair and rebuild, and that's good for your immune system and other things too. Like it all kind of adds up. Honestly, just taking a walk is healthy enough already, says Lucas Leviathan. Sure, yeah, definitely get some regular walking in, but you can go further with it. That's the thing. Like you can do the basics. You know, when I got started, I didn't go all in. I wasn't Mr. Crazy working out every day of the week. It was just, you know, a journey. It started with something simple. I started with cycling. And then over time, you know, it just felt like the more I do this, the better I feel. And so I kept going with it. And to probably beyond what most people want to do, right? But I love it so much that, for me, it's just like essential to exercise. Like it's for the longest time, it hasn't been a, oh man, I know I gotta run and keep in shape. It's like I want to do this. Like, I look forward to it. You know, I wake up and I'm like, right, go for a walk. Then we're gonna work out, and then after that, I'm gonna feel great. Would you ever consider doing cycling vlogs again? Says All of the Moon. I don't know. When I go on my skiing trips, I keep thinking about taking my GoPro. The thing for me is, like, it's not really a passion to make that kind of content. When I did those videos, it was really a case of, like, a lot of people were vlogging at the time, and I felt like sharing that with my audience. And I'm glad I did it, but, like, I don't feel like I need to make it into a regular thing, and I don't feel like the content itself really does or says much. Right, like if you wanted to watch cycling content, there's people that could do so much better than me, just showing you one of my little cycle journeys. So, like, because of that, I don't really have much of a desire or feel like there's a need for me to make that content. And I don't mind just enjoying it for myself a lot of the time. I just recently saw a video that talked about the difference of self-love and self-care. Self-care is the feel-good stuff, but self-love is the discipline and hard decisions to make yourself feel better in the low term and to show up for yourself. I found that quite enlightening. Sounds like a language thing. Like, I think of self-love as something rather different. Yeah, like I've listened to a lot of audiobooks with people talking about self-help and advice, and like I really struggle with like the self-love stuff. I feel more like kicking my own ass and telling myself to like do the gym because that's what I do and I'll feel better after. Like I don't quite get the love thyself thing. I've always found that one a bit challenging. Oh yeah, I need to start loading up the machine again, right? Self-love makes it sound spicy, says Mighty Crack. Get your brain out of the gutter, young man. That's not what we're talking about. Love it. I think the idea of self-love is like, if you hold it up in comparison to like judgment of self or like low self-opinion, negative thoughts in your head, I think it's like it's the other end of that spectrum. It's being able to like love yourself, and I've been trying to like push myself in that direction, but it doesn't feel like that's how I would express it. The thing that I found recently was milksog. What's that? It's more like letting go of all that negativity and trying to be your best self is more what I would describe it as. Because I think that everyone is inherently really good. I believe that people have like love and compassion in them, But like the world around us and the things we go through and the traumas we carry just contort us in a way and can make us make those, I don't know, self-indulged decisions sometimes, or put ourselves first beyond other people in such soft ways. Different mindset. You're already loving yourself, etc., taking good care of your body and mental health. Yeah, well, maybe I am. It's just like that's not the language. I feel like when I hear that, it means something else, and it's something that I'm not quite like there for. I think self-love is about treating yourself with the same level of respect that you treat your children or pets, not about spoiling yourself. Yeah, it could be that too. It could be that too. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, if I figure out or get to a place where something in me changes, I might describe it as that. But all the other definitions I hear of it, it just doesn't feel quite right to me. Maybe that has something to do with like what I think love is, and therefore I can't apply it to myself, or something like that, right? But yeah, I think people are inherently good. I think we all have like good intention at heart, and just sometimes we just have like bad social skills or bad habits. You know, it's tricky. There was a little incident that happened the other day with my dad that I thought about, and I'm like, this is so nothing, yet we constantly put ideas in our own head. Like I walked out of the house and shut the door, right? And I got told off for shutting the door. So I'm like, oh, okay. I ring the doorbell to, you know, come get someone to open the door, and then I get told off for ringing the doorbell. And it's like, I'm not out here trying to disrupt anyone. Like, people will go through doors and close them sometimes because you think that's the thing to do, right? Like, it's not, I'm not thinking I want to piss off my dad or anything like that. And then these little interactions get us frustrated, annoyed with one another, yet there's nothing in it really, except misunderstanding sometimes, you know? Like, I didn't realize my dad needed the door open, and then I didn't realize that ringing the bell would be disturbing other people when I wasn't supposed to, you know? Like, and it's, yeah, like, so many conflicts between people are just built off of stupid little things like that, aren't they? Come on, y'all just think about your recent interactions with people where things have got a bit heated. You know, it's always stupid stuff, isn't it? Right? Like, because we as people are always going to bump into each other. We're always trying to do something when someone else is also trying to do something, and then at some point we're just going to bump into each other. I'm trying to train myself, like, at every moment to let go of it immediately. Like, that's my goal. It's like to notice it before you feel it and just be like, all I got to do is just, hey, I get it. It's like, this just happens, and not feel it. Misplaced pent-up anger, says Grimbo. I wouldn't have thought about it like that until you've said it. But yes, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Like, wait, what is going on in chat? Because I asked and then I got waffled away. I don't know. I wouldn't, what was I saying? Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about it like that. But yeah, maybe it is, because where I've been training myself to not be like that, I have to let go of feelings, and it really helps when you think about it before it's coming. Where it's like, maybe I'm going to go like help in the kitchen, and there's a lot of people in there, and you think about it first, and you know that like, you're going to try and grab something when someone else is, and sometimes you get annoyed by that. But like, you pre-let it go, and so then maybe you don't have like that pent-up anger like you're describing, and so you just like go with it. Okay, I was trying to do this thing, now I've got to stand here and wait. Like, let it go. Well, my friends just said we don't want to talk to you anymore, and they pass by me basically every day and say nothing, even if I talk to them. Here's the thing, my dude. They've just done you a favor and told you they're not your friends. When you're young, I'm gonna guess you're a teenager, but like when you're young, the social stuff, man, it's so important. I think that like there's a lot of insecurity about oneself, And then when you're older, you look back at it and like you have more self-assurance when you're older, and you realize like if people treat you like that, you don't want them as your friends. But it usually just happens at that time. Things are awkward. Where something really similar happened to me when I was in school. I was like in a particularly down mood one day, which was probably like every day for me in school, and my group of friends like called me over and told me that I'm no longer like part of the friend group. Now, looking back on it, I know a couple of them didn't agree with that, because we had like a bully who led the group and bullied everyone. That was his way of controlling people. But like, I look back at it and I know now, but I didn't know at the time, and I just felt so gutted. I think I just turned around and went straight back home. But that like really hurt me hearing that, so I empathise with you hearing that's hard. But now that I look back at it, I'm not friends with any of them people anymore. Maybe one or two of them I think I am still. But like that's the thing, is that it's so awkward, because like as an adult you would take that so differently from as you would as a teenager. But like if you can have some like self-assurance in yourself, know that if people are going to treat you like that, they're probably not worth like rise above. I love that phrase, rise above. You know, like you have now seen how not to treat another human being, so rise above it. Because one of the things I did in school when I got bullied a lot is I went and bullied another kid one day. I only did it once, and I apologized to them after, and they weren't interested in my apology. But like I've been bullied so much, I just decided to like bully someone else. Like literally, I was just like, how can I be mean to this other kid that no one else seems to like? And I felt rotten about it. Right? What I should have done is risen above. Like never sink to that level. Just be, you know, have some conviction in knowing you're doing the right thing, and be the better person in that situation. And it can be tough, because sometimes it means, you know, you might not have some mates for a while, right? But hopefully you'll make some better friends who don't treat you like that. Sometimes people give you very conflicting signals though, and it's hard to tell if it's better to just walk away or to stay. I honestly think it is better to walk away, but on the bit about conflicting signals, again, like it might be just one or two meaner voices in that group, and maybe the other people just don't have the courage to speak up and say, I don't agree with you. You know, it could be like that. It would not surprise me if it turned out to be like that, because that's very typical of teenagers, right? And like, who can blame you? You're young. Like when you're that age, you're very new to with your social skills, and there's all sorts of pressures you feel, and self-image in the eyes of others becomes a big thing. Like how are you perceived, you know? I think about this when I see a full-grown adult act like a 10-year-old when mad. I really don't want to lower myself to that level of thinking anymore, says Quiver Me Ones. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's yeah, like I say, rise above. Like one of the things about negativity like that is that it can drag you to it. Like if someone starts shouting at you as a way to argue, right? Like maybe you've got a problem you need to solve and something's gone wrong and whose fault is it, yada yada. Like if the other person chooses to shout, you can often get dragged into shouting as well. And then that makes you feel bad because you've kind of like sunk to that level instead of finding a way to properly communicate and sort this thing out. But like if you can keep that idea of just rising above and like not being dragged to that level and trying to remain calm, it's like a tricky thing to do, but if you can keep the idea in mind, maybe you can build up the tolerance for it. Didn't I have like a crafting bench like right here at some point? I think I might have put it back in here. Yeah, just try and be that, you know, try and be better than that and hold on to it. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean like the situation is going to turn out better, but just don't sink to that level. I can't stand shouting. It immediately shuts me down and guarantees the problem won't be resolved. Yeah, that's kind of how it is for me. I can't remember the last time I was in a shouting battle, but I gotta say I'm better at dealing with it these days than I once was. Okay, copper aging facility. fully upgraded, right? And restocked. Got another batch running. With some friends, I'll force myself to fill silences which just seems awkward. It's probably an example of the wrong type of friend. Someone you feel you have to fill silences with in order to seem interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't say like... I feel like, you know, if you have a bit of silence between people, I wouldn't see that as like a sign of incompatibility necessarily. But I do think a lot of people are like not that comfortable with silence, whereas I am. Sometimes you just don't have a lot to say. It might sound weird for me to say that I can be like quite quiet, but like if you think about it, if you're someone who gets like talk for 2 hours straight, sometimes you just don't feel like saying a lot, right? So you know, I like to listen to my friends when I see them. I want to hear what they're up to because I've told my stories so many times, you know. I've told my stories plenty of times, as you know. Hey, it's Randy Nicole, 98 months approaching the legendary 100 club. Thank you, my dude. When we get there, I got something special in the works that I hope y'all and everyone else are going to enjoy. Oh yeah, all of this needs to get crafted back into gold and probably just shoved back into the ender chest. Always tidy up your inventory, peeps. Always tidy it up. Actually, all of this can kind of just go into a junk box now, I think. Those are the last of my honey blocks. I learned that I do not have a lot of those left. Okay, and what's in there? Redstone? I feel like I constantly use this stuff, so I'm going to chuck that in there like that. All good. Joel Kip says, well, if there is something special for 100, I can't wait till what will happen at 666. I don't think I'll be a streamer at 666. It might not even exist by then, you know? If we're that far into the future, you know. Jeez. Who knows what? I was going to say I might not even be alive. I was like, wow, that's grim. You never know. I want to live for a long time. Like, when I'm old, I want to be fighting. You know? I want to be putting those candles on that cake. I'm like, no you don't, Death. We're going down on we're having a long drawn out fight, you and I. 55 years into the future, there you go. Oh, that made some noises. My friends, this is where I wrap up my live stream for today. I hope you've been entertained. I hope you enjoyed it and had a fantastic time. Be sure to hit the follow button so you can catch the next one, which will be tomorrow earlier in the day if all goes to plan. As of right now, though, we gotta figure out someone to raid. I see Pearl is streaming. Is Pearl on the server? Oh, Pearl isn't. I was gonna send you on for some more Hermitcraft as it goes. Well, if you want to watch Pearl, actually, I'll just send you over to Pearl. Because Impulse is streaming, but I imagine he can't be streaming for much longer. Anyway, right, raiding Pearl. Big thanks to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated, and cheered. As always, I appreciate your support. Thank you to the mods, the patrons, and the people gifting sub. Oh yeah, and on the note of Patreon, head over there, check it out. And yeah, if you want a mousepad, if you want an Evil X figurine or a poster, I've sent a few of those out lately, so maybe get your hands on one too. That's it. That's it. There we go. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.